What if I told you that one story, one simple act of kindness could change everything? A story that starts with a dog left in a burning forest and ends with a movement that's lighting up the world. Stay with us, because what you're about to hear will not only melt your heart, but it will make you believe in the power of love to transform lives. The forest crackled with the menacing roar of flames, smoke curling through the trees as a mother dog fought desperately to lead her tiny puppies to safety. Just when all hope seemed lost, fate took an unexpected turn. The forest had long been a serene haven, a quiet sanctuary teeming with life. Among its many residents was Bella, a devoted golden retriever who had recently given birth to 5 precious puppies. Nestled beneath the roots of an ancient oak, Bella's den was a warm, hidden refuge, safe from predators, shielded from wind and rain, and filled with the steady rhythm of her loving care. But that peace shattered on a sweltering summer evening. A careless ember from a nearby campfire sparked the dry underbrush, and within moments, flames raced across the forest floor. Birds scattered skyward in a panic, deer bolted through the trees, and Bella's ears twitched at the first distant crackles. Her instincts flared. Something was terribly wrong. Peering from her den, Bella saw the orange glow rising like a sinister sun behind the trees. The acrid stench of smoke filled her lungs. The fire was coming fast. Inside the den, the puppies whimpered softly, their tiny eyes barely open, blindly reaching for the comfort of their mother. Bella rushed back to them, nudging each fragile body with her nose. Panic pressed in around her. She had to move them, now. But how could she save all 5 alone? One by one, she gently grasped a puppy in her mouth and ventured into the smoke-choked woods. The heat was suffocating. Her golden fur clung to her skin, slick with sweat and ash. She placed the first pup inside the hollow of a fallen log a safe distance away, then sprinted back for the next. Time was slipping through her pores. The fire roared closer, smoke thickening with every breath. Still, Bella's resolve never faltered. On her 4th trip, just as she turned to race back, a blazing branch crashed to the ground behind her, cutting off the path to the den. Bella froze. One puppy remained, trapped. Her heart pounded. Flames danced between her and the den. Smoke stung her eyes and searing heat singed her fur. But her final pup was still in there, helpless and alone. She couldn't leave him. Drawing a shaky breath, Bella summoned every ounce of strength left in her. Then she ran, straight into the fire. Her paws skimmed the burning ground, dodging embers and falling debris. At last, through the thick smoke, she reached the entrance of the den. She followed the faint cries until she found him, trembling in the far corner, pressed against the cool earth. She nudged him gently, letting out a soft whimper to calm him. Then, despite the pain and exhaustion ravaging her body, Bella lifted her last puppy and turned to face the inferno once more. The path was treacherous. Flames towered around her, the inferno roaring louder now, blocking her view of the hollow log where her other puppies waited. With her baby clutched tightly in her mouth, Bella braced herself, then leapt through the wall of fire. Her paws struck the scorching earth and she stumbled, the heat searing through her pads. But she didn't stop. Every step forward was a fight. Smoke burned her lungs, her vision blurred, but she pushed on, driven by pure instinct and love. At last, she broke through the fiery curtain and collapsed on the cooler ground beyond. The final puppy was safe. But Bella's body was giving out. Her limbs ached. Her breath came in shallow gasps. She had done the impossible, saved all her babies, but now the fire was closing in, and she had nothing left to give. Sensing her fading strength, the puppies huddled close, their tiny bodies pressing into her, offering what little warmth and comfort they could. Bella raised her head weakly, eyes scanning the smoke-choked horizon. There was no clear path out, no escape, but hope hadn't left her completely. She lifted her muzzle and let out a mournful howl, raw, aching, and filled with desperate longing. It echoed through the chaos like a final prayer. Not far from the blaze, firefighter Emily was patrolling with her team. The wildfire had grown too fierce to contain, and now they were doing final checks, one last sweep to ensure no lives were left behind. As Emily's truck rumbled through the smoke-draped trees, something caught her attention. A faint, haunting sound carried on the wind. "Stop the truck!" she barked. Her team shot her puzzled glances, but did as she said. Emily jumped down, ears sharp, eyes focused. "There's something out there," she insisted, grabbing a flashlight and a blanket. Before vanishing into the smoke, the forest swallowed her quickly. Ash swirled like snow in the beam of her flashlight. Embers drifted from the treetops like falling stars, but she moved quickly, heart pounding, guided by that fading howl. Then, through the haze, her light landed on a heartbreaking sight. A golden retriever lay curled on the scorched earth, her body wrapped protectively around a cluster of trembling puppies. Bella's fur was blackened and singed, her sides heaving with labored breaths, but her eyes still burned with the fire of a mother who refused to surrender. Emily's chest tightened. The devotion, the sheer will to protect in the face of death, it stole her breath. "Hang on, girl," she whispered, dropping to her knees beside Bella. She assessed the scene fast. The puppies were alive, dazed but unharmed. Bella was in bad shape, her strength nearly gone. "I've got you," Emily said softly, wrapping Bella in the blanket. The puppies whimpered, as if sensing something had changed. Something good. Gently, Emily tucked them into her jacket, forming a makeshift pouch around her chest. "We're getting out of here." As Emily turned to retrace her path, a sharp crack echoed behind her. She spun around just in time to see a massive tree, its trunk charred and weakened by the flames. Groaning as it tipped before she could move, it crashed down with a thunderous roar, blocking the trail back to the truck in a cloud of ash and splinters. Emily's pulse surged. They were trapped. Bella, the puppies, and her, surrounded by a tightening ring of fire. Back at the truck, the mood had shifted. Emily's team stood restless, eyes scanning the smoke-cloaked forest. "She should have been back by now," one firefighter muttered, anxiety creeping into his voice. Another shook his head grimly. "It's too unstable in there. We can't wait forever." But before they could make a call, a faint bark pierced the haze. It wasn't Emily, it was a dog. The team froze, glancing at one another. No words were needed. One of them grabbed the radio. "Requesting immediate backup," he said urgently. "We've got a firefighter unaccounted for, and a dog, possible entrapment. Sending coordinates now." Deep inside the forest, Emily's instincts took over. Panic wouldn't help. Not now. She scanned her surroundings, mind racing. Then her eyes caught a narrow creek bed veering downhill, its walls steep but shaded from the worst of the fire. It was risky, but it was hope. "Okay, girl," she murmured, meeting Bella's tired but trusting eyes. "We're going this way. Hold on." With Bella wrapped tightly in her arms and the puppies nestled against her chest, Emily stepped into the creek bed. It was slippery, uneven, every rock a new challenge. But it offered a path. The shallow banks shielded them slightly from the growing inferno above. Step by step, Emily pressed forward, her breath heavy, her body aching, but her resolve unshaken. Meanwhile, backup arrived. Among them, a specialized canine search unit. At the front was Scout, a black Labrador trained for rescue. Nose low, tail high, he picked up Emily's scent almost instantly. The team followed close behind, hope flickering to life in their hearts. Inside the forest, the creek bed began to widen into a small, smoky clearing. Emily paused, muscles screaming with fatigue. Bella whimpered softly, and Emily reached out with a shaky hand to stroke her head. "Just a little farther," she whispered, though the exhaustion in her voice betrayed her. Then movement, a rustling ahead. She tensed, flashlight darting across the smoky clearing. And there he was. Scout burst through the brush, tail wagging furiously, barking with joy. Relief crashed over Emily like a wave. Moments later, the rescue team emerged behind him, their faces etched with urgency and relief. "We've got you, Emily," one of them called. They swarmed in, gentle but efficient, lifting Bella and the puppies from her arms and securing them safely. Only then did Emily allow herself to collapse, the adrenaline that had carried her now fading into trembling exhaustion. As she sat catching her breath, the team worked quickly around her. A firefighter, Jake, a seasoned paramedic, knelt beside her. "Emily, you hurt?" he asked, his tone calm and steady despite the chaos still raging nearby. "I'm okay," she rasped, voice hoarse from smoke. "But I'm worried about Bella." And the puppies? Jake gave her a steady nod. We got them, he said, motioning to another firefighter who carefully lifted Bella onto a stretcher. The golden retriever lay motionless, her body singed and trembling, but still protectively curled, even in unconscious instinct. The puppies, still huddled together in the makeshift pouch of Emily's jacket, were gently transferred to a blanket-lined basket. Their soft whimpers pierced the smoky air, but they were safe. Bella, however, was fading. Her labored breathing and scorched fur told a harrowing story of maternal courage. She had braved fire and death for her babies, and now the toll had caught up with her. Emily's heart clenched as she watched Bella's chest rise and fall, each breath more fragile than the last. The team moved swiftly. The creek bed's our best shot out, the captain barked. It'll shield us from the worst of the flames. Despite the weariness in her bones, Emily straightened. I'm walking, she said firmly. I need to be with Bella. Jake hesitated, concern flickering in his eyes, but he knew better than to argue. He gave a tight nod. Together, they began the slow trek through the creek bed. Emily stayed close to Bella's stretcher, whispering soft encouragements. You're a warrior, she murmured. We're almost there. Just hold on. Scout, the loyal black lab who had led the rescue, trotted faithfully alongside them. Occasionally, he nudged Bella's side as if urging her to stay awake, to keep fighting. The path out was grueling. Smoke thickened, choking the air, and the fire's crackle loomed ever closer. Every step felt heavier than the last, but the team pressed forward because this wasn't just a rescue mission. It was a mission to save a family. When the truck finally came into view, a collective breath of relief swept through the group. Medics were waiting, already springing into action. Bella was placed gently on a stretcher, an oxygen mask fitted to her muzzle. Her chest heaved, her breath shallow but present. The puppies, wriggling and squeaking, were examined with gentle hands and placed in warm towels. Emily stood nearby, soot streaking her face, her eyes locked on Bella. The dog's eyes fluttered open, tired, barely focused, but they found Emily. In that brief look, there was gratitude, recognition, trust. You're safe now, Emily whispered, tears welling and spilling freely. You did it! You saved them! Word of the rescue spread quickly. When Emily returned to the fire station, her fellow firefighters were waiting, their faces lit with awe and respect. You're unbelievable, one said, clapping her shoulder. Charging into a wildfire for those dogs? That's just who you are. Emily gave a faint smile, but her heart was still back in that clearing. She's the hero, she said softly. I've never seen that kind of bravery. Not even in humans. That night, Bella and her puppies were rushed to a nearby animal hospital. Emily couldn't leave them. Exhausted but unwilling to rest, she stayed curled in a plastic chair in the waiting room, her eyes fixed on the swinging double doors. Finally, a kind-faced woman in scrubs emerged, Dr. Harper, the attending vet. Bella's stable, she said gently. She has some burns and mild smoke inhalation, but she's a fighter. With care, she'll recover. And the puppies? She smiled. They're in excellent condition, all thanks to their mother. Emily's breath hitched. The weight on her chest began to ease. Thank you, she said, her voice breaking. I don't know what I would have done if we lost them. Dr. Harper placed a hand on her shoulder. Bella's strong, but so are you. They're here because of both of you. In the days that followed, Bella and her puppies captured hearts everywhere. News crews arrived. The story of a mother's sacrifice and a firefighter's determination spread across headlines and social media. Donations flooded in for their medical care. Messages of love and admiration poured in from strangers around the world. But for Emily, none of it was about recognition. As she sat by Bella's side during recovery, gently petting the golden retriever's matted fur, Emily understood something deeper. This wasn't just about survival, it was about love. Selfless, fearless love that crossed the barrier between species. Bella had risked everything for her children, and in doing so, she reminded Emily of something essential, that true courage doesn't roar. Sometimes it whimpers softly through smoke, holding on no matter the cost. As Bella and her puppies began their slow journey of recovery, Emily found herself drawn to them in a way she hadn't expected. She spent every off-duty hour at the animal hospital, watching the golden retriever regain her strength day by day. The puppies, once fragile and trembling, now tumbled over one another in play, their squeaky barks filling the recovery room with life. Bella watched them with quiet pride, her body still weak but her spirit unbroken, and Emily stayed close, always nearby, offering soothing words and gentle touches. One morning, Dr. Harper approached Emily, her expression unusually serious. There's something we need to talk about, she said gently. Bella's healing well, but the burns on her back.
Legs are more severe than we thought. She may never regain full mobility. The words landed like a gut punch. Emily's breath caught. But she'll still have a good life, right? She asked, her voice cracking? Dr. Harper nodded, but slowly. Yes, if she receives the right care. Ongoing therapy, accommodations, patience. But not every family can offer that. Most want a healthy, active dog. Bella's road will be long. Emily glanced through the glass window into the recovery room. Bella lay with her head on her paws, her eyes following Emily's every move. Calm, trusting, full of quiet strength. She deserves better than a shelter, Emily said. Her voice had steeled, a low fire burning beneath it. She's a hero. Word of Bella's story continued to spread. The community that had cheered her rescue now stepped up again, organizing fundraisers, donating supplies, and even planning a charity event to support animal rescue efforts. Businesses offered sponsorships and local media followed every update. Emily was overwhelmed by the generosity, but a quiet worry still tugged at her. What would happen to Bella once the attention faded? The puppies, meanwhile, had become local celebrities. Lines of eager families visited the animal hospital, hoping to adopt one of the golden fluffballs. Dr. Harper was meticulous in vetting each potential adopter, determined that every puppy would go to a safe, loving home. Still, Emily couldn't shake the thought. Was it too soon to separate them from Bella? After all they'd been through, after all she had endured to protect them, how could they just be split apart? And then another twist. A man appeared at the hospital reception desk. Tall, clean-cut and well-spoken, he introduced himself as Mark. "I think one of your patients belongs to me," he said, his tone confident. Bella, Emily, nearby at the time, stiffened, her eyes narrowed. "She's yours?" she asked cautiously. Mark nodded. "She went missing weeks ago. I had no idea where she'd gone until I saw the news. I've been looking everywhere." He looked sincere, even concerned, but Emily's instincts flared with unease. Something about him didn't feel right. "Do you know what she's been through?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "She nearly died saving her puppies. You didn't know she was pregnant?" Mark shifted uncomfortably. "I didn't. I've had her since she was a pup, but she ran off one day. I didn't even know she'd mated. I was heartbroken when she disappeared." Emily's gaze slid to Bella, who lay in the recovery room, eyes half-lidded, but watching, always watching. "Do you have proof?" she asked, crossing her arms. "Photos? Vet records?" Mark hesitated. Then he pulled out his phone and scrolled through his gallery. He landed on a photo of a golden retriever. Same amber fur, same warm eyes. A close match. Emily stared at the screen, then looked back at Bella, but something didn't sit right. The dog in the photo looked cared for, but polished, groomed, posed, well kept. Nothing like the mother who had braved flames and death for her pups. The Bella lying in the recovery room was more than a pet. She was a survivor, a protector, a soul that had been through something too deep for words. Emily's gut twisted. She wasn't ready to let her go. Not to this man. Not yet. The photo Mark showed bore a striking resemblance to Bella. "That's her," he said confidently. "I can bring paperwork if you need it." Emily's gut twisted with uncertainty. She glanced at Dr. Harper, hoping for reassurance. "What if he's telling the truth?" Emily asked softly. "But wait, what if he's not? Bella deserves a home where she'll be safe and loved." Dr. Harper exhaled, her brow furrowed in thought. "We'll need to verify his claim. If he's legally her owner, we may not have a choice. But if there's any doubt, we'll advocate for what's best for Bella." Still, Emily couldn't shake the unease nesting in her chest. Mark seemed too smooth, too rehearsed. Trusting him felt wrong. Acting on instinct, Emily made a call to a friend at Animal Control, asking for help, digging into Mark's background. The report that came back was damning. Multiple complaints about neglect, citations for leaving animals in extreme weather, and a fine for mistreatment that had been quietly dismissed with a slap on the wrist. The next time Mark arrived at the hospital, Emily was ready. "You say Bella's your dog," she said, meeting his eyes. Her tone was calm, but cold steel lay beneath. "But I've spoken to Animal Control. You've got a history of mistreating animals." Mark's expression shifted from smug to guarded. "That's none of your business." "It is now," Emily replied, "because Bella isn't just any dog. She's been through hell, and I won't let her go back to someone who let her down." Mark's jaw clenched. "You don't know anything about me." Dr. Harper stepped in, her voice even but firm. "Until we verify ownership through the proper legal channels, Bella stays here. That's final."
Mark gave a bitter snort and stormed out, muttering threats under his breath. But Emily felt a surge of relief wash over her. Bella was safe. For now. Meanwhile, the adoption process for the puppies continued. Families visited daily, eager to meet them. Dr. Harper remained diligent, matching each puppy with the right home. But as each one found a family, Emily felt something unexpected growing inside her, a deep, aching attachment. Each time she walked into the recovery room, Bella's tail thumped softly. Her eyes, gentle and unwavering, found Emily's with a look that said everything. The puppies would tumble toward her, yipping and tumbling, filling the room with warmth and laughter. One evening, Emily sat cross-legged on the floor beside Bella, gently stroking her singed fur. The golden retriever rested her head in Emily's lap, her breathing slow, steady, trusting. "Maybe you're supposed to stay with me," Emily whispered. "Maybe we're meant to be a family." But uncertainty lingered. Even if she wanted to adopt Bella, the legal case with Mark hadn't gone away. And even if she could, caring for a recovering dog and a litter of energetic puppies would be a massive commitment. Still, the outpouring of community support kept her afloat. Neighbors dropped off food, blankets and toys. Local vets volunteered therapy sessions for Bella. Cards and emails poured in from strangers moved by the story, offering encouragement, donations, and even help with the pups. But Emily knew the hardest part was yet to come. Could she truly give Bella and her puppies the life they deserved? And what if Mark refused to walk away? The answer came, as Emily feared it might, in the form of confrontation. Several days later, Mark returned, this time not alone. A lawyer stood at his side. "I'm here to claim my dog," Mark announced coldly, his voice echoing through the hospital reception area. Emily stood beside Dr. Harper, her fists clenched. Dr. Harper kept her tone calm. "We've reviewed your documents, but we have serious concerns about Bella's welfare. Her injuries suggest long-term neglect. Until the legal process is resolved, she stays here." Mark's lawyer stepped forward. "My client has provided proof of ownership. He has a legal right to reclaim her." Emily's voice cracked, raw with emotion. "Bella isn't a possession. She's a soul. Can you honestly say you gave her the love and care she needed?" Mark's face darkened. "She ran away. Someone left the gate open. I looked everywhere for her." The tension in the room pulsed like static. Dr. Harper raised a hand to stop the spiral. "We're willing to find a resolution that prioritizes Bella's well-being, but until then, this conversation is over." Mark stormed out, the lawyer hurrying behind him. Emily stood in place, trembling. "What if he wins?" she whispered, barely audible. Dr. Harper gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then we'll fight. But you have to prepare for any outcome." That night, sleep evaded Emily. The thought of Bella returning to a life of indifference, of fear, haunted her. So she acted. She shared Bella's story online, how she braved fire to save her puppies, how she now faced losing everything she'd fought for. She spoke from the heart, calling for help, for awareness, for justice. The response was overwhelming. "I'll help however I can," one person wrote. "She deserves better. Thank you for fighting for her," said another. The post went viral, spreading far beyond their town. People from across the country offered support, legal advice, and donations. Emily realized this wasn't just her fight anymore. It had become a community's mission. Meanwhile, her bond with Bella deepened. Emily spent every spare moment at the hospital. She helped with feedings and cleaning, played with the puppies, and sat beside Bella in quiet companionship. The golden retriever's eyes always found hers, filled with trust and something even deeper, gratitude. One evening, surrounded by sleepy pups, Emily looked into Bella's gentle eyes. "I'll fight for you," she whispered, "no matter what it takes." But the legal battle loomed. Through her growing network, Emily connected with Rachel, a tenacious animal welfare attorney. "I believe in your cause," Rachel told her. "And I believe Bella deserves better." Together they built a compelling case. Veterinary reports, Bella's condition upon rescue, Emily's personal bond with her, and testimonies from neighbors who had seen Bella left outside, underfed, forgotten. Still, an emotional hurdle remained. The puppies. Adoption requests were flooding in, families eager to give the pups a home. But Emily's heart ached at the thought of separating them from Bella too soon. She turned to Dr. Harper. "Is it too early?" she asked quietly. "She's been through so much. I don't want her to feel like she's losing them." "We'll stagger the adoptions," Dr. Harper reassured her. "Give her time to adjust. We'll do this gently." And so, the first goodbye came. Finn, a rambunctious little boy with a wagging tail and a fearless spirit, was adopted by a kind, loving family. Emily hugged him tightly, tears slipping down her cheeks. "You're going to have a beautiful life," she whispered into his fur. From her bed, Bella watched in silence. Her eyes followed every motion, every tear. Emily sat beside her and gently stroked her head. "He's safe," she murmured. "And you will be too." Each night, Emily lay awake in her small apartment or the hospital's quiet lounge, playing every scene over in her mind. Mark's threats, the growing legal pressure, and the love she felt for Bella and her pups. It was wearing her down. but not breaking her. Then, one quiet evening, as she sat alone in the dimly lit hospital lobby, her phone rang. It was Rachel. "I found a witness," Rachel said, her voice full of determination. "A neighbor who saw Mark mistreat Bella before she ran away. This could be the turning point." For the first time in days, Emily felt hope stir in her chest, fragile but alive. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I don't know what I'd do without you." Rachel's words were steady. "You're doing the hard part. You're giving Bella a real chance." The following days were a blur of legal meetings, emotions running high. Rachel's discovery, a neighbor named Mrs. Callahan, became the anchor of their case. When Emily finally met Mrs. Callahan, the elderly woman's calm presence gave her a sense of strength. "I've lived next to Mark for years," Mrs. Callahan began, her voice gentle as she stirred her tea. "I've seen things I wish I hadn't. Bella was just a pup when he got her, but he never treated her like family." Emily listened intently as Mrs. Callahan described the cruelty Bella had endured, left outside in freezing weather, her cries unheard, her needs ignored. The words hit Emily like a punch to the gut. "When she disappeared," Mrs. Callahan continued, her voice trembling, "I prayed she'd found a better life. Now I know she has." Rachel recorded the testimony, calling it the heart of their case. As they left Mrs. Callahan's home, Emily's resolve grew stronger. Bella had been through too much, and it was time for her to find justice. But Mark wasn't backing down. As Bella's story spread, so did his. He painted himself as a misunderstood owner, unfairly judged. At a local coffee shop, Emily overheard a conversation that made her blood run cold. "I heard he's been trying to get his dog back for months," one patron remarked. "Maybe the hospital's overstepping." Emily's chest tightened. Mark's narrative was gaining ground, at least with some people. Refusing to let the lies stand, Emily shared more of Bella's journey on social media, her recovery, videos of her playing with her puppies, and the heartbreaking details of the neglect she'd endured. The response was overwhelming. "Bella's bravery is incredible. Keep fighting for her. Neglect is never okay. She deserves love." The community rallied around her, but Emily knew this wasn't enough for the courtroom. As the first hearing loomed, Rachel worked tirelessly. "We need to prove not just that Bella was neglected," she explained, her voice focused, "but that she's now in a safe, loving environment." Emily hesitated, the weight of the situation settling in. "Do you think they'll ask me if I want to adopt her?" Rachel's eyes softened, curiosity and understanding in them. "Would you?" Emily's heart raced. She hadn't dared to let herself imagine that far. "I want what's best for her," she replied quietly. "And if that means staying with me, then yes." The day of the hearing arrived, grey clouds heavy in the sky, mirroring the storm of anxiety brewing inside Emily. Mark strode in with his lawyer, his smug expression not matching the stakes of the battle at hand. Emily, with Rachel and Mrs. Callahan by her side, walked into the courtroom, Bella's story etched in her heart. Rachel led with the veterinary records, photographs and detailed reports of Bella's injuries. Then came Mrs. Callahan's testimony. The elderly woman spoke calmly but with a conviction that resonated throughout the room, painting a heartbreaking picture of Bella's neglect and her desperate need for love. When it was Mark's turn, he spoke with forced sincerity, his words hollow. "Bella ran off because someone left the gate open," he said. "I've been looking for her ever since. She's my dog." Rachel countered with sharp clarity. "Your Honor, this case isn't just about legal ownership. It's about Bella's welfare. She's finally found love and stability, something she clearly lacked before." The judge listened carefully, then retired to deliberate. Emily sat in the gallery, her hands clutched tightly in her lap, her heart pounding in her chest. Bella lay quietly at her feet, as if sensing that Emily needed her more than ever. Finally, the judge spoke, her voice firm yet measured. "This court acknowledges the complexity of this case," she began, her gaze steady as she addressed the room. "While Mr. Hartwell has presented evidence of ownership, the testimony and records of neglect cannot be ignored. Bella's welfare must come first." Emily held her breath, each second stretching like an eternity. "I am granting temporary custody of Bella to the animal hospital pending further investigation. During this period, no changes to her current living arrangements will be made." The ruling was bittersweet. Bella wouldn't be returned to Mark, but her future remained uncertain, suspended in the air like a fragile thread. Outside the courthouse, Emily embraced Rachel and Mrs. Callahan, her voice thick with emotion. "This is just the beginning," Rachel said gently, placing a reassuring hand on Emily's shoulder. "We keep fighting." That evening, Emily sat quietly in the recovery room with Bella and her puppies. Bella rested her head in Emily's lap, her eyes full of trust and gratitude, a quiet bond forming between them with every passing moment. "You're safe," Emily whispered, gently stroking Bella's fur. "We'll get through this, together." The days ahead would undoubtedly hold more challenges, but Emily was ready. Bella had fought to protect her puppies. Now it was Emily's turn to fight for Bella. Everyone who met Bella immediately fell in love with her gentle spirit. Her puppies were thriving, each one developing a unique personality. Yet despite the growth and progress, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that the battle wasn't over. Mark's presence continued to hang like a dark cloud. Even though the court had ruled in Bella's favor, Mark began showing up outside the hospital, pacing in the parking lot, his eyes locked on Emily or the staff with a confrontational glare. It wasn't overt, but the threat was clear. Intimidation veiled in silence, chilling in its subtlety. One afternoon, as Emily arrived for her shift, Mark intercepted her. "You're making a mistake," he said, his voice low and threatening, his words carrying the weight of a man who refused to lose control. "Bella belongs to me. This isn't over." Emily stood tall, her body steady, her resolve unshaken. "Bella deserves better than what you gave her," she replied, her voice firm and unwavering. "I won't stop fighting for her." Mark sneered, his lips curling into a bitter grin, but he said nothing more. As he walked away, Emily's stomach twisted with unease. He wasn't going to back down easily. Inside the hospital, another emotional challenge loomed. The puppies were now ready to be rehomed. The excitement of finding them loving families battled with the painful reality of separating them from their mother. Emily wanted each puppy to find the perfect home, but the thought of parting them from Bella weighed heavily on her heart. To make the process easier, Emily organized a community adoption event. Families and individuals gathered at the hospital, eager to meet the puppies. Joy filled the air as people connected with the tiny bundles of fur, their laughter and smiles echoing through the room. A playful female named Luna quickly won over a young couple, their faces lighting up at the sight of her. A curious pup named Max bonded instantly with an older man who had recently lost his own dog. Emily watched the interactions with a sense of relief, her heart swelling as each puppy found their new family. But one puppy, the runt of the litter, remained in the background, a shy little boy named Scout. He clung to Bella's side, trembling every time someone approached. "Maybe Scout's not ready yet," Dr. Harper suggested, observing from a distance. Emily nodded, her heart aching for the tiny pup. "He's special," she said softly, her gaze fixed on Scout. "I'll make sure he finds the right home." As each puppy left to start a new chapter with their new families, Bella's behavior changed. She grew quieter, her eyes often lingering on the doors through which her babies had just disappeared. The silence between them felt heavier now, filled with the unspoken ache of separation. Emily spent more time by Bella's side, offering her comfort, gently stroking her fur as the golden retriever adjusted to the emptiness left behind. But through it all, Emily knew that this too was part of Bella's healing process, and her own. One evening, as Scout nestled in her lap and Bella lay beside them, Emily whispered softly, "I wish I could promise everything will be okay, but I can promise you this, you won't go through this alone." Meanwhile, Rachel tirelessly built the case against Mark, uncovering more troubling details from his past: neglect, abandonment, and even a former neighbor who recalled him leaving a dog behind years ago. "This could be a game changer," Rachel told Emily during a late-night call. "It shows a pattern the court can't ignore." But Mark remained relentless. He filed an appeal, arguing that his previous actions were irrelevant and that Bella still legally belonged to him. Another court battle loomed on the horizon, its weight pressing down on Emily's chest. Despite everything, Emily stood her ground. Her bond with Bella and with Scout had only deepened. The once timid pup was beginning to blossom, his confidence growing with each passing day, filling Emily's heart with a sense of accomplishment and love. One quiet evening in the hospital yard, as Scout chased leaves and Bella nuzzled Emily's side, an idea slowly took root in Emily's mind. What if Scout stayed with her permanently? The thought made her heart race, a mixture of joy, fear, and a quiet longing that she couldn't ignore. The next day, Emily approached Dr. Harper, her voice hesitant but filled with hope. I think I want to adopt Scout, she said, her words cautious but full of meaning. Dr. Harper smiled warmly, her eyes soft with understanding. I think that's a wonderful idea. He already sees you as his person. Emily felt a rush of relief and joy flood through her, but then her thoughts turned to Bella. She couldn't help but wonder how the golden retriever would react. What about Bella? Do you think she'll be okay with it? If anything, Dr. Harper replied gently, knowing Scout staying close might bring her comfort. She's formed such a bond with you, and he's her connection to family. The idea of adopting Scout seemed to bring a spark of hope, yet the thought of Bella's future still gnawed at Emily's stomach. She didn't want to let her go. Bella belonged with them. That night, with Scout asleep at her feet and Bella resting beside her, Emily made a silent vow. I'll fight for both of you, no matter what it takes. But the looming appeal weighed heavily on her heart. Mark's tactics became bolder and uglier. Flyers began appearing around town, accusing the hospital of stealing his dog. He even circulated a petition demanding Bella's release. Though the petition gained little traction, the message stung, cutting deep into Emily's resolve. Rachel continued to work tirelessly, gathering every shred of evidence to shut down Mark's claims. We've got the truth, she said, her voice steady but full of determination. But he's trying to wear us down. He can try, Emily replied, her voice firm with a newfound strength. But I'm not giving up. Bella deserves better. Amid the chaos, Bella reached a turning point. With her puppies rehomed, she began to flourish once more, chasing balls, rolling joyfully in the grass, curling up beside Emily in the evenings. The spark of her old self was returning, and it filled Emily with hope. Scout, too, once shy and nervous, was now adventurous and playful, a true reflection of the love and care Emily had poured into him. They were a family. One day, while on a walk in the park, a young boy approached hesitantly. Is that Bella? He asked, his voice soft, filled with wonder. Emily knelt beside him, smiling gently. Yes. Do you know her? The boy nodded, his eyes brimming with tears. She lived next to me. She looked so sad. I wanted to help her, but my mum said it wasn't our business. Emily placed a gentle hand on his shoulder, offering him the comfort he so clearly needed. You did nothing wrong. But she's safe now. She's loved. The boy smiled through his tears. I'm glad. She deserves it. Moments like this reminded Emily of why the fight mattered. Bella's story wasn't just about suffering. It was about resilience, about the chance to find joy again, even after everything she'd been through. But just when Emily thought the worst was behind them, Bella's health was tested once more. One day, Bella developed a limp. After a series of tests, the results were devastating. The lingering damage from the fire, an injury that hadn't fully healed, required surgery to prevent long-term issues. She's been through so much, Emily whispered, tears welling in her eyes. And now this? Dr. Harper, ever the calm presence, offered reassurance. She's strong, Emily, and she has you. We'll get her through this, one step at a time. Determined to give Bella the care she deserved, Emily launched a fundraiser to cover the surgery, sharing Bella's journey with her online community. The response was overwhelming. Donations, messages of love and support poured in, each one a testament to Bella's strength and the impact of her story. But as always, Mark found a way to make things harder. He used the fundraiser as a weapon, accusing Emily of exploiting Bella, calling the campaign a scam. Though the accusations were baseless, they stirred unwanted attention and added pressure to an already exhausting situation. One night, as Emily left the hospital after another long shift, she found Mark waiting for her, his presence like a shadow she couldn't escape. This ends now, he said coldly, his voice laced with venom. You think you can use Bella to make a name for yourself? You're no better than me. Emily stood her ground, refusing to let his threats have power over her. This isn't about me, she said, her voice steady but fierce. It's about Bella.
And I'll protect her, no matter what it takes. Mark's eyes darkened, his jaw clenched in frustration. He said nothing more, but his silence spoke volumes. As he walked away, a chill ran down Emily's spine. She knew this wouldn't be the last time they crossed paths. The confrontation, however, was nothing compared to the tension that followed during the pivotal court hearing. This was the moment that could decide everything. Rachel presented the evidence they had painstakingly gathered, testimony from the young boy who had witnessed Bella's suffering, statements from veterinarians detailing her injuries, and a damning record of Mark's past neglect. Mark countered with his usual bluster, attempting to portray himself as the victim, but his arguments quickly unraveled under scrutiny. As the judge reviewed the evidence, the courtroom seemed to hold its collective breath. Bella, who had been brought in as part of the proceedings, lay calmly at Emily's feet, her trusting gaze a stark contrast to the tension in the room. The sight of her, so peaceful amidst the chaos, was a silent but powerful reminder of what was truly at stake. Finally, the judge spoke. The evidence overwhelmingly supports that Bella was subjected to neglect and abuse while in the care of Mr. Mark Hamilton. Furthermore, her current caregivers have demonstrated exceptional commitment to her well-being. The appeal is denied. Whispers rippled through the courtroom, but Emily had no ears for them. Her gaze was fixed entirely on Bella. She knelt beside her, tears streaming down her face as she whispered to the dog who had endured so much. "We did it, girl," she said softly. "You're safe now." Though the ruling was a monumental victory, Emily knew that it was only the beginning. Bella's surgery was scheduled for the following week, and Emily was determined to give her the best chance at a full recovery. But she had also started seriously considering adopting both Bella and Scout permanently, a thought that filled her heart with both hope and immense responsibility. The hospital was abuzz with celebration. The staff, now deeply invested in Bella's recovery, rallied around Emily, offering their help and support. They organized supplies, gave emotional support, and worked tirelessly to prepare for the surgery. Scout, ever the spirited little pup, was a shining light in the hospital. His playful antics brought joy to the staff and a welcome distraction as the tension of Bella's surgery grew closer. Emily spent every spare moment with Bella and Scout, making sure they felt loved and secure. One quiet evening in the hospital garden, she sat beside Bella, stroking her soft fur as the gentle evening breeze moved through the trees. "You've been so brave, Bella," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "No matter what happens, you'll always be my hero." Bella leaned into her, her soulful eyes speaking more than words ever could. Emily didn't need further reassurance. She knew, without a doubt, that adopting them was the right path forward. They were family now. The morning of the surgery arrived, crisp and still. The hospital was quieter than usual as Emily walked Bella to the operating room, Scout trotting close behind, sensing the unease in the air. Emily tried to keep her composure, but her hands trembled as she handed Bella's leash to Dr. Harper. "She's in good hands," Dr. Harper reassured her with a warm, gentle smile. "We'll do everything we can." Emily nodded, but her voice was caught in her throat. She watched Bella disappear into the operating room, her tail giving a faint, hopeful wag. Scout, attuned to Emily's unease, pressed against her leg. Kneeling down, she wrapped her arms around him. "It's going to be okay," she whispered to him, trying to convince herself as much as the pup. Hours passed. Emily walked the hospital corridors, her thoughts spiraling in circles. The staff offered small distractions, giving her updates on Scout and reminding her that Bella was in good hands, but nothing could ease the weight of her anxiety. Finally, the door to the waiting area opened. Dr. Harper emerged, his scrub stained with blood, his expression weary but relieved. "She's stable," he said, a tired but genuine smile breaking through. The surgery was a success. Relief washed over Emily, and her legs went weak. She leaned against the wall, the tears she'd been holding back spilling down her cheeks in a rush of emotion. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice thick with gratitude. Dr. Harper gave a small nod. "She'll need time to recover," he said, "but if all goes well, she should regain full mobility." For the first time in what felt like forever, Emily allowed herself a moment of peace. Bella was going to be okay. Bella's recovery became a hospital-wide mission. Her resilience inspired everyone who cared for her. Though she winced at times, her spirit never wavered. Scout, ever faithful, remained by her side, licking her nose and curling beside her during
naps. Emily, too, was changed. Bella and Scout had rekindled a deep sense of purpose in her, a reminder of why she had chosen this work in the first place, to be a voice for the voiceless, a protector of the vulnerable. As Bella grew stronger, Emily finalized the adoption. Though the paperwork was routine, the act felt deeply significant. She had fought for these two lives, and now they were family. The day of the adoption arrived, and the hospital staff held a small celebration. Balloons and banners filled the break room, and a cake shaped like a paw print sat in the center. Emily, Bella, and Scout were the guests of honor. "You've been through so much," a nurse said, raising a toast, "and you've come out stronger. Bella and Scout are lucky to have you." Emily shook her head, her voice thick with emotion. "Number, I'm the lucky one. They've taught me more about love and resilience than I ever imagined." As the days passed and hospital life settled back into a rhythm, Emily found herself reflecting on Bella's story and on how many hearts it had touched. With the hospital's support, she launched a community outreach initiative, Bella's Brigade. The program offered education on responsible pet ownership and provided resources for animal rescue and rehabilitation. Bella and Scout became its ambassadors, their journey serving as a living testament to hope, healing, and second chances. Donations poured in from the community, eager to support the cause. The hospital expanded its animal care facilities and sponsored rescue efforts across the region. Bella and Scout, once on the brink of loss, were now thriving, each day their bond with Emily growing even stronger. The hospital, with its compassionate staff, had become a beacon of hope for animals in need, united around a shared mission of kindness and care. One sunny afternoon, Emily stood watching Bella, now walking confidently despite a faint limp, chase Scout across the hospital garden. She marveled at how far they had come. Their past had left scars, but it no longer defined them. Together, they had forged a new path, a life filled with love, trust, and endless possibility. At last the day arrived for Bella and Scout to leave the hospital and begin their new life with Emily. The garden, where so many pivotal moments had unfolded, was the perfect backdrop for their farewell. The staff gathered to say goodbye, their faces glowing with joy. Bella wore a bright red bandana around her neck, a symbol of her strength. Scout darted between legs, tail wagging with excitement. As the celebration wound down, a nurse approached Emily with a small envelope. "This came in the mail for you," she said, handing it over. There was no return address. Inside was a handwritten letter from a family, inspired by Bella and Scout's journey. "Your bravery in fighting for Bella and Scout gave us the courage to adopt a rescue dog of our own. Thank you for showing us what love and compassion can achieve." Emily's eyes brimmed with tears as she read the letter aloud. The staff erupted in cheers. Bella barked joyfully, and Scout licked Emily's cheek, a gleeful reminder of how far they had all come. On the drive home, Emily looked at Bella and Scout through the rearview mirror, her family. Their journey had been long, filled with challenges, but now it was filled with promise. They had found each other, and together they had found home. The road that had brought them here, through burning forests, courtroom battles, and life-saving surgeries, felt like another lifetime. But each trial had shaped something indestructible, the bond between Emily, Bella, and Scout. And that bond, forged in the fires of adversity, could never be broken. As they arrived home, Emily opened the car door. Scout leapt out first, tail wagging with excitement, eager to explore their new world. Bella stepped out slowly, cautiously. Her eyes scanned the unfamiliar yard, muscles tense with uncertainty. Emily knelt beside her, stroking her fur with a calming hand. "It's okay, girl," she whispered. "This is home." "This is your home now," Emily whispered as she gently stroked Bella's fur. "You're safe." In the weeks that followed, Bella and Scout adapted to their new life with surprising ease. Emily transformed her backyard into a sanctuary, complete with a cozy doghouse, a shaded area for quiet moments, and a collection of toys scattered across the lawn. Scout made every second feel like a game, while Bella found peace in quiet companionship, often resting her head on Emily's lap as if to say, "This is home." Meanwhile, Bella's brigade blossomed. Families from all corners of the community reached out, some moved by Bella's courage, others inspired by Scout's unwavering loyalty. Their story had become more than just a tale of survival. It was a spark lighting the way for change, igniting compassion in those who heard it. Then came the real test. It was a warm, sunny afternoon at a Bella's Brigade community event. Rescue organizations filled the park, adoption tents buzzed with activity, and workshops on compassion and care drew curious crowds. But the true draw was Bella and Scout, living symbols of resilience, who greeted a steady stream of admirers. Bella sat calmly beside Emily, her poise a testament to how far she had come. A little girl approached slowly, her eyes wide with awe and wonder. She hesitated for a moment before extending her hand. Bella sniffed her fingers gently, then gave a soft, reassuring lick. The girl giggled. "That's Bella." Emily smiled and nodded, her voice full of pride. "She's our hero." The girl looked up at Emily, her voice soft but sure, as if understanding the magnitude of the moment. "I want to be a hero too." The words struck Emily like a tidal wave. In that instant she realized Bella's journey had not only saved her life, it had sparked a quiet revolution of kindness, one that was inspiring the next generation to make a difference. As the event came to a close, Emily addressed the crowd, her voice steady but thick with emotion. Bella and Scout's story is proof that love can overcome even the darkest moments. They've taught me that every life matters, that kindness can transform the world. The crowd erupted in applause. Bella barked joyfully, her tail wagging with pride. Scout joined in, spinning in happy circles, as if echoing the message of love and hope. That evening, as Emily sat on her porch, Bella and Scout curled up at her feet, a peaceful calm settled over the house. Stars began to shimmer in the sky above, and Emily reflected on the incredible journey they had shared. She looked down at the two of them, her family, and felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. They had survived fire, both literal and emotional, and emerged stronger, wiser, whole. "Thank you," she whispered into the night, unsure whether she was speaking to Bella, to Scout, or to the universe itself. But in that moment, she knew one thing for certain. Their story wasn't over. It was just beginning. In the months that followed, Emily saw the ripple effect of their journey unfold. Strangers stopped her on the street, sharing how Bella's bravery had inspired them, how they had adopted rescue dogs, volunteered at shelters, or chosen kindness in ways they never had before. Bella had become more than a survivor. She had become a symbol of hope, resilience, and the power of love. Bella's brigade expanded beyond what anyone had imagined. Educational programs flourished, medical outreach initiatives grew, and adoption partnerships blossomed. Bella and Scout, now beloved media figures, were featured in articles, news segments, and interviews. But for Emily, it was never about fame. It was about impact, about making a real difference in the lives of animals and humans alike. One quiet evening, as Emily prepared for another campaign, she noticed Bella at the window, her gaze fixed on the horizon. It was a familiar sight, one of quiet strength, a silent sentinel who had weathered it all. Emily knelt beside her, running a hand through Bella's soft fur. "You've come so far," she whispered. "And because of you, so many others will get a second chance." Bella turned her head slightly, meeting Emily's gaze. No words were needed. In that moment, Emily understood the depth of their connection. This bond had been forged in fire, tempered by love, unbreakable. As Emily reflected on everything they had accomplished, a new dream began to take root, taking Bella's brigade across the country, uniting shelters, rescues, and advocates into one powerful voice for change. And the courage to pursue that dream, it came from two dogs who had once been broken but had never given up. And in that spark of love, a movement had been born. One quiet afternoon, Emily received an unexpected visitor. A woman named Grace, who had traveled for hours just to meet Bella and Scout. She arrived with a photo of her own recently adopted rescue dog, her eyes full of emotion and her voice shaky with vulnerability. "I was afraid," Grace began, her words tremulous. "Afraid I couldn't handle a rescue dog, but when I saw what Bella and Scout went through, how they overcame it, I knew I had to try." She wiped away a tear. "They gave me the courage to save a life." Emily's heart swelled with pride as she watched Grace kneel down to hug Bella and Scout. Her touch was gentle, full of love, a reflection of how much Bella and Scout had given to others. In that moment, Emily knew that every challenge, every sleepless night, every heartbreak they had endured had led to something far bigger than she could have imagined. Bella and Scout were more than survivors. They were beacons of hope, leading others to the light. The day of the national campaign launch arrived, and Emily stood before a packed auditorium, Bella and Scout by her side. The energy in the room was palpable, charged with anticipation and determination. Emily took a deep breath, her voice steady and clear as she began her speech. Bella and Scout's story isn't just about survival, she began, her gaze sweeping over the audience. It's about the power of compassion, the strength of community, and the belief that every life matters. The room fell silent, the audience hanging on every word. Emily's eyes flickered down to Bella and Scout, who sat quietly beside her. Their tails wagged gently, as if they understood the significance of the moment. "They've taught me that even in our darkest moments," Emily continued, her voice thick with emotion, "we can find light if we open our hearts." The crowd erupted in applause, the sound thunderous, a testament to the profound impact Bella and Scout had made on everyone in that room. Emily paused for a moment, allowing the applause to wash over her, before continuing. "If their journey has inspired you," she said, her voice steady, "we invite you to join us. Whether it's by adopting a rescue animal, volunteering at a shelter, or simply spreading awareness, every action matters. Together, we can create a world where no animal is left behind and every life is given the chance it deserves." Her words resonated in the room, each sentence hanging in the air like a promise. The applause swelled and then faded, leaving a moment of silence that seemed to stretch forever. Bella and Scout, always by her side, punctuated the quiet with joyful barks, reminders to all that their journey had been shaped by love, resilience, and unwavering compassion. Emily took a deep breath, allowing the echoes of the moment to settle. She knew this was more than just another speech. It was the culmination of everything they had fought for and everything they were about to become. "The real change we seek," she said, her voice growing firm with purpose, "begins with compassion, with understanding, with the belief that no life is too small, no struggle too insignificant to deserve a chance." Bella and Scout are living proof of that. Proof that no matter how broken we are, we can rebuild. And when we do, we have the power to light the way for others. She paused, her gaze sweeping across the faces in the room. Some were filled with hope, others with determination, and still more with a quiet, burning desire to make a difference. In that moment, Emily realized that this was not just her fight anymore. It was theirs too. "Each of you here today is part of something bigger than yourselves," she continued, the emotion in her voice rising as she spoke. "Every time you choose kindness, every time you speak up for those who can't, every time you open your heart to a life that needs saving, you're creating ripples of change. Bella's story has touched your hearts, and now, together, we can create a wave of compassion that will reach far beyond these walls." The crowd was completely silent now, listening intently, their eyes focused on her, on Bella, on Scout, on everything that had brought them to this pivotal moment. Emily's heart swelled as she thought about how far they had come. How many lives had been touched by Bella's strength, Scout's loyalty, and the power of love that had bound them all together. "The work we're doing," Emily went on, her voice softening with sincerity, "is about more than just rescuing animals. It's about rescuing the very essence of humanity, the part of us that believes in second chances, in healing, in the power of community. It's about reminding ourselves that we all have the ability to choose love over fear, hope over despair." Her eyes glistened as she glanced down at Bella and Scout, the two dogs who had taught her so much. She knelt beside them, her hand resting gently on Bella's head. "These two," Emily said with a smile, "they were once lost, broken, abandoned, but they are now the heart of a movement that will change the world. And none of this would have been possible without the support of people like you. You have become a part of their story, and together we can write the next chapter." She straightened up, her words now a clarion call to action. "So I ask you all, right here, right now, will you join us? Will you help us continue this work, not just with donations or with time, but with your hearts? Will you show the world that love can heal even the deepest scars? Will you make compassion the foundation of everything you do?" A wave of energy surged through the room, a collective heartbeat that seemed to echo with a single, powerful answer: yes. "Subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming stories of resilience and hope," Emily urged, her voice gaining strength as she spoke. "Share this video with friends and family. Your support helps us continue this vital work, one life at a time, because every life saved, every heart healed is a victory." And it's a victory that we can all share. She let her words settle into the room before speaking again, her tone softer now, but no less powerful. Let's keep the flame of compassion burning brightly, because together we can make miracles happen. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story. With Bella and Scout by her side, Emily stepped back, taking in the moment. The audience rose to their feet, applauding, not just for her, but for the message they had all embraced. The room was filled with a tangible sense of unity, a shared commitment to change. In that instant, Emily realized that the true power of their story was not in the fame it had garnered, nor in the recognition they had received. It was in the quiet, everyday moments when people chose to act with kindness, when they stepped forward to offer help, and when they became part of something bigger than themselves. Bella, Scout, and Emily had started a ripple. And together, with everyone who had been touched by their journey, they would continue to set the world aflame with compassion, one life at a time.